Hi there. Welcome back to another English 102 video. You are working on your data commentary paper, the last paper of the semester. It's important that you do well on it so you can get the grade that you want in the class. And in it, you're going to have to do a lot of different things, right? That's why it's broken down into three different sections, three different headings, right? You must use the headings so that you remember what each section is designed to do, right? So first we're going to talk about what you need to do in the introduction section. Obviously, you've read the directions, right? And you have probably realized it's similar to what you needed to do in the background section of the initial research findings paper. It's informational writing. But the idea is that you've learned a lot more about your subtopic by now. You've got different things to say about it, a more complex understanding of the discourse surrounding your subtopic than you had when you wrote the initial research findings paper. Or at least I hope you do, right? Because you've read at least 4 additional sources since then, probably more. Anyhow, I always think that when you're learning to do something new, whether it's throwing a football or painting a picture, you need models, right? You need to be able to look at examples of what to do and what not to do. And thankfully, I got some really excellent data commentary papers over spring, despite the whole COVID-19 pandemic. I got some really killer papers. I've got a sample A paper for each of the topics that are in your data commentary toolbox. And so right now, to give you an example of effective writing in the introduction section, I just went ahead and pulled one of them out, right? And so we're going to look at his section. If you want to check out his whole paper, of course, you can click here to do it. This is the social media topic. His subtopic was targeted advertising in social media. If you haven't already read these samples, right, go ahead and do so, and then the video will make more sense, of course. Anyhow, so we've got 2 examples here, one that shows what to do. This is the sample paper, and one that shows what not to do. And this is important to talk about because if you start down this road, it's like the dark side, man. If you start down on this road in the paper, forever will it dominate your destiny, and you will fail the paper and you will repeat the class. And I really, really don't want that for you. So we do need to talk about that. Okay, so let's get into this. As you can see here, he actually used 3 paragraphs on his introduction section. I've had some students use 4. Again, it's up to your judgment. You need at least 2. Please keep in mind, please review the module materials, right? There's no thesis statement in your introduction, okay? There's no hook. We're doing academic writing here, right? So you have to, hopefully you've already unlearned a lot of those things that you've learned in past classes by this point of the term. Boy, that's 2 Star Wars references in one video. Okay, so what makes this effective informational writing? Well, did you notice how many in-text citations there are? Do you see this? This one's missing quotation marks, right? Because it's the title of a source that does not have a named author. He should have done like he did here. But do you see he's doing that? Why does he have that there, even though it's not a direct quote? Well, it's because this is highly effective use of paraphrase. This is his words, right? This is not cut and pasted from the source. These are his words. He is explaining the source's ideas in his own words. But he needs to show where this fact comes from. Not everyone knows this, that most social media services do this. Indeed, that's how they make their money. That's why they're free. They have to make their money somehow. Where did he get this fact? From this source, which of course you could find on his Works Cited page. It does not have a named author, and so the citation starts with the title, and the in-text citation looks like this. Do you notice how many of these there are, right? Do you see how he's integrating facts and ideas from all these different sources that he read to create this highly effective informational writing. It flows clearly, it's interesting, it's engaging. This is one of the benefits of paraphrase, right? Because look, if every single one of these citations, if all of these are direct quotes, it's going to feel very choppy to read, right? And this is one of the benefits of paraphrase. And part of the idea behind having you do that annotated bibliography is that now you know these sources well enough. If you've read them thoroughly, you can do this, right? Anyhow, so he gives you some background information on social media, but he very, very quickly shifts into this explaining what targeted advertising is and how it works. And he brings up this idea of privacy laws very early on. And see, so he knows so much about the subtopic. This is actually much more focused than what he had in his than the informational writing he had in his initial research findings paper. Anyhow, the point here is that he's delivering lots of facts that the reader doesn't already know, and he's using the sources to do it, right? His subtopic involved a kind of a debate, and so he lets us know kind of what some of the voices in the debate sound like. He never weighs in. He doesn't give us a thesis. He's not supposed to, right? He just explains it, okay? Anyhow, so the idea is you're delivering facts, about your subtopic that you learned with the work that you did on your annotated bibliography. You're going to use informational sources here and opinionated sources here. You probably you should save the academic journal articles for the data commentary section because you're going to do something different with them. You're going to pull the data out of them and comment on it. We'll talk about how to do that in another section of the module. Anyhow, again, if social media isn't your topic, I've got sample papers on the other one and they've also got very good informational writing. Let's go ahead and talk about why this one is terrible. Okay, so the short answer for why this is terrible is there are no facts that are here from sources. This is what happens when students try to write papers based on what they already knew before they even took the class. Right? These are things that literally everyone knows about social media, right? And so it doesn't show that you've done any research whatsoever. These are things that you knew going in, right? And indeed, I wrote this paragraph in literally like 45 seconds because it's just obvious observations about social media. Okay, if you deliver this kind of writing to an academic reader, they will stop reading within the first few sentences, right? This is absolutely pointless. Don't do this, right? But I don't think that you will, right? That's the beauty of the annotated bibliography assignment is that you've read all these things. You had to create the annotations. And so you're starting to put together, again, some ideas about what the discourse surrounding your subtopic looks like. And so I'm hopeful that you will be able to deliver it in a way like this. You just can't revert back to this. I know this flies in some English classes, but this is not sound academic writing, right? And if you deliver me an introduction section like this, it's not going to get any points, right? So again, the takeaway here, signs that you are on the right track, in-text citations showing you delivering facts from the sources, either via direct quotes or paraphrase, as this student has done. I would strongly encourage you to experiment with paraphrase in this paper if you haven't in previous ones. You can't write this whole paper with direct quotes. I mean, you can, but it's going to be pretty choppy for the reader to read, and it's going to lose points because of that. I think that's about all I got. Just one more thing to remember. Remember the purpose of this section, right? So he tells us all these things because after the introduction section is finished, when he gets into the data commentary section, he's going to show us some data about targeted advertising. And he's going to comment on what he thinks it means, right? And for the reader to understand the significance of any of this, they need this introduction from him, right? And the interesting thing is, if you look at your own academic journal article, they almost always have introductions. And they do something very similar to what he's doing here. They provide informational writing to help the reader understand the context of the research, right? So that's another good place to look for examples if you don't like the student examples that I have in there. Anyhow, I think that's about all I've got. If you've got any questions, as usual, shoot me a message in Canvas or stop by office hours. I really want you to work hard on this so that you can, ask questions far ahead of time before the final draft is due, so I can help you, achieve the grade you want at the end of the semester. All right, take care. Bye.